So the other day, I was in the kitchen and I was cooking something, and I was midway through like a salt bay session when this question kind of just popped into my head, and I could not shake it off. Who discovered salt? Who was that guy or gal who was like, "Hey, I see you, ocean. I see you drying up. I see you left behind some white powder stuff, and I'm gonna lick it. I'm gonna bottle it up and give it to a friend." Before we kind of go back to trace the source, maybe we should touch upon the flavorful history of salt. It's quite crazy. So salt comes from like two main sources, right? Like a water-based source. It could be like sea, or like a well, lake even, or a mine, right? And sure, it's kind of like freely and cheaply available now, but it wasn't always the case. Like salt was the shiz, y'all. Like it was huge. It was a precious mineral. It was something that was traded like extensively around the world. Like it's right up there with spices. And like there were spice roots, there were salt roots, and these salt roots went from Egypt to Greece to Morocco to Timbuktu, all over the place. Quite crazy. It's basically like at one point in time, it was dough. Like people would use salt for money. Like slabs of salt would be considered money in Abyssinia. Abyssinia is like modern day Ethiopia and like bits of Central Africa. Yeah, it's my notes. So even the romantic, slightly sinking city of Venice owes its glitz and its riches and its fabulousness to salt. Like salt merchants are what made Venice. And so Rome's sort of busiest salt route was this road called Via Salaria, and the salt merchants would kind of go up and down that road to kind of trade their stuff and take it to the ports and all, and they'd hire soldiers to sort of escort them. And these soldiers were paid partly in money, in like actual cash, and partly in salt. And this salt payment was called Solarium Argentum, and allegedly that's where the term salary originally comes from. And you know the term not worth his salt? That's legit something that Greek and Roman merchants would use to bargain when they are paying their soldiers, buying their slaves. Like it's a nasty phase, you guys. Like we kind of take it for granted that this little kind of bottle of salt that's sitting in my kitchen right now, its history is crazy. Like people have died over it. Like thousands, maybe even millions of people have died over it. People were imprisoned. People were denied it, and wars were fought for it. Like, can you believe it? Just take a moment and wrap your head around that. And now we barely even think about it, right? And salt also has like a huge significance religion-wise. Like it's made its way into a lot of holy books, but that's an analysis and a story for a whole other day. And if you want to know more about it, maybe you should leave a comment. But yeah, like that's coming back to salt, and because salt was like the bomb, rulers would like tax it. Like ask any French person, and they probably tell you about gabelle. It's one of the nastiest, most hated French laws, and the reason why they hate it so much is it's like a really mean, oppressive tax that they paid from the 14th century right up to 1946. Like just now, 1946, you guys. And even India, right? Salt was always taxed in India, but when the British Empire kind of took control, they doubled those taxes. They put in these oppressive like laws. There were a lot of restrictions, and by then it was a basic necessity of life, right? And it's totally safe to say that salt played a major role in India's sort of freedom struggle and the revolt. But who found it? So early man was a meat eater, was a carnivore, and that's where he got his salt intake from. But when we started cultivating and agriculture became a thing, somebody went, "Hey, look, I found this white powder, let's put it in food and see what happens." And then they realized it makes food tasty. They also realized that it heals wounds, that it can be used to preserve stuff, and that's a huge plus when you don't have a fridge, right? So the oldest recorded evidence of salt dates back to 6000 BC in China, in a northern province called Sanchi. Like 6000 BC. Think about it. 6000 BC. right? And so this area is like a really dry, like arid, mountainous region. There's nothing much there except this lake. So obviously human civilization was everywhere. And then there was this lake, and they realized this lake dries up in summer, and what it leaves behind is this like crystal like things, and they started harvesting it, and that's the oldest recorded evidence of salt. And the oldest recorded sort of written records of salt go back to 800 BC, and it's also in China, and it shows that salt was produced and traded extensively as far as then, right? But you know what's super interesting? When was the last time you used salt in Chinese food? I'm gonna give you a minute. Okay, I don't have a minute. I'll give you a second. Think about it. Like never. Like who uses salt for Chinese food? Freaks. No one. Exactly. Right? Use soy sauce like a normal person. But how do you go from like legit discovering salt to not using it at all? So salt was expensive. I think we've established this. Like it was the bomb, and the Chinese realized that to kind of stretch it and to make it last longer and to kind of get like your money's worth, like if they fermented it with soy, it lasts longer, and that's how we have soy sauce. But soy isn't even native to China. So Chinese Buddhist missionaries brought it with them from Japan as souvenir. And that's how we have soy sauce. And that's how we have salt. Who would have thunk it? Thank you for joining me. I hope you liked the episode. If you liked it, hit like and subscribe. Oh wait, I subscribe. Is it here? It's there, right? Oh shit, subscribe!